Hello, my name is Zero and welcome to another Baldur's Gate 3 build video. In today's video, I'll be showing you my Knight Automaton build. This build will be pretty much just a fighter battlemaster build. What is going to make it different from others is the fact that we're going to be using a specific weapon with gloves and a helmet, which is altogether going to combine into this pretty sick looking character that you see right here. So let's get into our character creation. So for our character, I've chose a half-orc. You can choose any other race you may prefer. My only suggestion would be that you pick a race that has the access to the body types of 3 or 4. Basically the like jacked, buff body types. Because the armors that we're going to use and the equipment is going to make them look really menacing and amazing. So the reason I chose a half-orc is because they look really menacing with this armor on and because of their posture and everything. But other than that, you have complete freedom there on which race you want to go with. So for the half-orcs, we have the standard base racial movement speed of 9 meters per turn. We have dark vision of 12 meters. We do have relentless endurance, which if we reach 0 hit points, we regain 1 hit point instead of being coming down. This is nice as a sort of a failsafe. If we do get down, we actually don't, we just stand up. We're kind of like zombies in a way, but it gets used only once per, I believe, long rest. But if you don't die too much, this will not be too useful, but it's still nice to have it. Then we have savage attacks. When we land a critical hit with a melee weapon attack, we deal extra dice of weapon damage. This is a very nice feature, especially if you're stacking critical strike chance. Now we're not doing that with this character, but still when we do crit, it's gonna hurt quite a lot. So for our class, we're going, of course, as a fighter. We gain the second wind not racial ability, but class action. This is a 1d10 plus fighter level heal. So at level 1 it's 1d10 plus 1, and then at level 12 it's gonna be 1d10 plus 12, which is a quite nice bonus action heal. For our fighting style, we're going with the great weapon fighting. When we roll a 1 or a 2 on a damage die for an attack with a 200 melee weapon, that die is rerolled once. This is a nice feature basically to ensure that we deal quite a bit more damage with our weapons. For our ability scores, we're going with 17 strength. This is here, of course, to have us be much more efficient with our melee weapons. We also have greater jumping distance, so we have great mobility with this. Dexterity 10, we are basically just going to use heavy armors and we do not need high dexterity. I placed these last 2 points here just so that I don't have a negative initiative. You can alternatively put it into charisma if you wish, but I prefer to have 10 dexterity instead. Constitution 16, this is here mainly just so we have a lot of HP. We don't need to worry about concentrating on spells as we won't really be casting any. And Wisdom 14, mainly here just to help us save against wisdom saving throws, such as, for example, the hold person. Then for the skill proficiencies, I have it plus 1 point in athletics and 1 point in survival. You can, if you wish, like athletics, acrobatics are interchangeable almost. You can choose either or. But of course, in this case, you probably just want it in athletics since you have a plus 3. And then for the survival or perception, these are both fine. Survival helps you find buried caches, and perception can be useful for like perceiving buttons and things like that on the wall, so arguably perception is more useful in the normal gameplay, while having one character with bonus in survival is also useful. I will stick with what I had here, which was the survival. For my background, it does not show it here, but for my background I chose a guild artisan. Guild artisan gives you proficiency with insight and persuasion. This is just my favorite background I like to use for like majority of my characters. If you have any other background preference, you can of course use that. Alright, so at level 2 we unlock our action surge and we can move on to level 3. At level 3 we unlock our subclass and we are going with the Battle Master. For our maneuvers we are going with the disarming attack, menacing attack and trip attack. Disarming attack is nice because if you manage to disarm an enemy, if they fail the saving throw, they drop their weapon on the ground and you can then pick it up, which is going to force that enemy to fight for the rest of the combat without a weapon. You will significantly nullify their combat effectiveness basically. Menacing attack, if the enemy fails the saving throw, you frighten them, then they have disadvantage on ability checks and attack rolls and they are unable to move. This is very good for anchoring enemies down. Trip attack, if the enemy fails the saving throw, you knock them prone and then you have advantage against them, which is very useful for you and your other melee allies. Moving on to level 4. At level 4 we unlock our feat and here we are taking ability improvement plus 2 into strength. It is at this point or at level 5, depending on when you want to deal with Auntie Ethel, you can get potentially another plus 1 in strength, so you can round it up to a nice 20. You can also, in 2 more instances in the game, get +2 strength. One of them being the Blood Merchant. She can give you a potion of everlasting vigor, which gives you +2 strength. And also the Mirror of Loss can give you another +2 in strength, which you can end up at a total of 24 strength in the late game, which is quite strong. At level 5, we unlock our extra attack. Moving on to level 6. At level 6, we unlock our second feat. And here we are taking Sentinel. Sentinel makes it when an enemy within melee range attacks an ally, you can use a reaction to make a weapon attack against that enemy. Target ally must not have the Sentinel feat. So if you have 2 characters with Sentinel next to each other, this feat won't work. But if you have, let's say, 2 Sentinels surrounding 1 non-Sentinel ally, and the enemy attacks the non-Sentinel ally, the 2 Sentinels will proc, and they will actually end up possibly attacking the same enemy. This also gives you advantage on opportunity attacks. And when you hit a creature with an opportunity attack, you can no longer move for the rest of its turn. So this is also another useful anchoring feature, or a feat feature. Moving on to level 7, we unlock 2 more Battlemaster maneuvers. Here we are taking Precision Attack and Pushing Attack. Precision Attack adds the superiority dice to your next weapon attack that is going to increase its accuracy, so you have a higher chance to hit. And Pushing Attack is nice because you can push enemies away from you, from your allies, or off of cliffs. Moving on to level 8, here for our third feat, we're going to be taking Pole Arm Master. Pole Arm Master makes it when you attack with a glaive, halberd, quarterstaff, or a spear, you can use a bonus action to attack with the butt of your weapon. You can also make an opportunity attack when a target comes within range. This has pretty good synergy with the Sentinel feat because if an enemy comes into range with you, you attack them, hit them, snare them, and then odds are if they don't have a long range weapon, they will be out of reach from hitting you, so you basically make them waste their turn, which is pretty powerful. Moving on to level 9, we gain our Indomitable feature. We basically can reroll a failed saving throw and use the new result, potentially saving us from certain effects, which is quite handy. It's better to have it than not to have it. At level 10, our superiority dice improves and it's now a 1d10 instead of a 1d8. We also gain 2 more maneuvers, and here we're going to be taking Goading Attack and Maneuvering Attack. Goading Attack is great if enemies fail the saving throw, they're forced to attack you, so if you run away from them, they will be forced to chase you if they're melee enemies, or if they're ranged enemies, then they will of course just shoot you. And Maneuvering Attack is more of a utility maneuver, because if you hit an enemy, you can use Force Maneuver on an ally that is going to increase their movement speed by 50%, and they will not provoke opportunity attacks. This is useful for getting allies out of sticky situations, and especially, for example, Gale. At level 11, we unlock our improved extra attack, allowing us to attack 3 times in total per turn, or 6 if we use Action Surge. And lastly, at level 12, we unlock our last feat, and this will be Great Weapon Master. When we land a critical hit or kill a target with a melee weapon attack, you can make another melee attack as a bonus action that turn. Attacks with melee weapons you are proficient with and are wielded in both hands, you can deal additional 10 damage at a cost of 5 attack roll penalty. You can toggle this on or off. So this just gives you a flat 10 damage bonus at a cost of accuracy, though if you have advantage a lot of the time this will be worth it. You also have those precision dice you can use to increase if you really need to hit somebody really hard. This feat also synergizes pretty good with your feats overall because of Pole Arm Master and Great Weapon Master, you will basically always have a 4th bonus action attack to deal damage with. If you land a critical hit or you kill your target, you get a proper bonus action attack for your bonus action. If you don't kill anybody and don't crit, you will just have your Pole Arm bonus action attack, which is weaker, but it's still, I believe it's a 1d4 plus your strength modifier, which is still quite good. And that is it for the level, so I will now see you in the in the equipment section. Alright, so here we are in the equipment section, so let's start with our headgear. So here we have the Steel Watcher helmet. The wearer can see in the dark up to 12 meters and cannot be blinded. You also get advantage on Constitution saving throw checks, meaning you have built-in Warcaster. For the alternatives, we're going with the Grimskull helm. Attackers can't land critical hits on the wearer. You also gain resistance to fire damage, and you have 1 Hunter's Mark per long rest. You can also go with the Helm of Baldur. The helmet heals you at the beginning of every turn for 2 hit points. You have +1 to armor class and saving throws. You can't be stunned, and attackers can't land critical hits on the wearer. Overall, this is a pretty amazing helmet all around. And then lastly, we have here the Fashion Choice helmet, the Gold Gloss Heraldic helmet. This you can find at the bottom of Moonrise Towers in the oubliette with the Bugbear. It's on one of the tables. But going back to our Steel Watcher helmet. For the cloak, we're going with the cloak. This is basically just a cloak, not magical at all. I mainly chose this because I think it's the longest cloak in the game. And it looks really amazing on tall characters. Also reminds me of a carpet, and this character doesn't really need a cloak. You can run with a cloak, so I have some alternatives here, like the Cloak of Protection, armor class and saving throws +1. Cinder Moth Cloak, a creature that damages the wearer within 2 meters receives burning, so if they hit you, you hit them back. Same thing with the Flesh Melter Cloak. If an enemy hits you with a melee damage or melee attack, that creature takes 1d4 acid damage. For the armor, I went with the Plate Armor +2. You take 2 less damage from slashing, piercing, and bludgeoning sources. This is basically just a normal Plate Armor +2. Now, if you want a special magical armor, you can of course go with Adamantine Splint Armor. All incoming damage is reduced by 2, and while the melee attack hits you, the attacker is sent reeling for 3 turns. This basically gives them a -1 penalty to attack rolls for every turn remaining, so if they hit you once right off the bat, they get a -3 penalty to their attack rolls. And you also can't, attackers can't land critical hits on the wearer. For the other armor you can take is the Blackguard's Plate. All incoming damage is reduced by 1. You have also advantage on wisdom saving throw checks. Or even something like the Armor of Persistence. All incoming damage is reduced by 2. You gain resistance and Blade War effects. Now the reason I chose this, because I think Plate Armor +2 looks the most badass with the helmet. And you can also paint it relatively similarly to the helmet, or closely to the helmet. For the gloves, we're going with the gloves of the Automaton. With this, we gain circuitry interface. You're considered a construct, your weapon attacks or attack rolls have advantage, and you have resistance to lightning damage. So this lasts for 10 turns, and you activate this with a bonus action once per short rest. So once per long rest, you can have 3 of these, which is quite powerful. This is going to, of course, scale very well with our Great Weapon Master. For the alternative, you can take the Gauntlets of the War Master. The targets have disadvantage on saving throws against your maneuver and weapon attack actions. You also gain +1 to attack. This is great because this, of course, benefits, or your Bilemaster maneuvers benefit from these gloves, which is pretty great. For boots, I'm going with the Boots of Persistence. You gain freedom of movement and you gain Long Strider. Long Strider increasing your movement speed by 3 meters, and of course, freedom of movement makes you immune to paralyzed and restrained, and difficult terrain does not reduce your movement speed. For our amulet, I went with the Amulet of Misty Step. This gives you Misty Step once per short rest, so in total 3 times per long rest. I also went the Sparks Wall. The wearer can be electrocuted and you have resistance to lightning damage. I namely chose this because in my playthrough, I had a character that was creating a lot of water surfaces, so this was pretty necessary. For the second ring, I went with the Ring of Protection, armor class +1 and saving throws +1. Now, if you want an alternative combination of rings and amulets, you can go with something like this. So you can go with the Broodmother's Revenge. The wearer is healed, their weapon becomes coated in magic and deals 1d6 poison damage. Acoustic Band, your weapon attacks deal 2 acid damage, and then Ring of Regeneration. At the beginning of your turn, the ring activates and heals you for 1d4 hit points. So this is great combination for increasing your damage overall, because this deals a flat 2 acid damage regardless, and this amulet will get activated by this ring, so you will pretty much always have 1d6 poison damage. So you will not really double your damage, but you're gonna be close to it. That's of course without the Great Weapon Master. With the Great Weapon Master, you will not double your damage, but this is a nice combo as well. But I've been running with this because I had a character that was creating a lot of puddles, and otherwise my character was getting electrocuted a lot. Some other amulets you could take is like Civil Pendant. This gives you guidance. You can use this as much as you want. This is useful if you don't have a cleric or a druid. And you can also take something like the Everseeing Eye. This gives you protection from evil and good. This is a pretty useful spell throughout all of the game. You have, if you cast this on yourself, aberrations, celestials, elementals, fae, fiends, and undead, they all have disadvantage on attack rolls against you. You can be charmed, you can't be frightened or possessed by them. So overall, this is a pretty useful spell. But I would basically run either this combination that we have here or the combination we have over here. For our weapons, we have the Light of Creation. Chance to stun the wielder unless it is a construct. This also deals 1d6 lightning damage. This is where the gloves synergy comes amazingly with our weapon. If you remember, the gloves make us into a construct, so then the weapon no longer tries to stun us. So we have advantage, we don't get stunned, and we can just deal our ridiculous damage while being worried of getting stunned. Now, there is a combination you can do with this as well, which is you take the Helm of Baldur. This gives you stun immunity. Though I think either this patch or last patch, this was bugged and this didn't work. It might be working right now, but I'm not too sure. I'll have to test it. But regardless, if and when this gets fixed, you can run the Helm of Baldur with the Gauntlets of the War Master, and then enemies have disadvantage on your maneuvers, and you don't need to worry about getting stunned from this weapon. But I'm going to be rolling with what I had in this playthrough. For our ranged weapon, we're going with the Held Rider Longbow. We gain +3 bonus to initiative, and we have advantage on perception ability checks. We also gain Fiendish Fire. Once per turn, a creature hit by this weapon will possibly be afflicted with Fairy Fire. The first effect is the one we're looking for because this gives us bonus to initiative. The second effect won't be real useful because we won't be using our ranged weapon too much. For the alternatives, you can go with the Bow of Awareness. This gives you +1 to initiative. Or you can take Hunting Shortbow and Gandral's Aspiration, mainly here for the advantage against monstrosity types enemies. This does gives you also Hunter's Mark for once per long rest, and Gandral's Aspiration gives you Sacred Munitions, although again you won't be really using this because you won't be shooting with it, you just want the advantage against monstrosities. And that is it for the equipment section. We will now go into the battle showcase. Alright, so here we are yet again at the Flaming Fists Barracks for yet another battle showcase. So before combat started, I did drink an Elixir of Vigilance, so that I am a little bit higher in the initiative. That still made me 4th in the initiative, so I did have to let some of these other characters first, but now we can start our basically combat routine. Normally in big important fights, you would just activate your circuitry interface. We are now considered a construct, and we have advantage on all of our weapon attacks. So we can keep our Great Weapon Master all in turned on. I probably would not try to attack this guy because it's only 75% chance, but anything that's like 80% and higher, I would still go for it. But we can increase our odds by using precision attack. So our next attack has higher accuracy. So if you look now, this is at 94 and he's at 98. So let's lose our cleave attack and let's see if we hit both of them. There we go. And now we can let's try to goad them. Let's see if we I should probably turn it off for this guy, but we still managed to hit him. We can try to goad this guy. And now basically, if we were not able to wipe them out this turn, these two would be forced to attack our Knight Automaton, and they would basically just try to chase him around. So let's try to freaking rush attack and hit this cleric. We can, which is very good. We can try to, for example, frighten her. And we actually ended up one-shotting her. Well, two-shotting her because we did use a rush attack first, but we dealt quite enough damage to end up killing her. And yeah, we can just try to see if we can finish this up. And that's about it for the combat. On like turns 2, 3, 4, and so on, when you have your bonus action, you can use the Polearm Clout or the Great Weapon Master bonus action attack. This is basically you will always have a 4th attack ready. Just one of them will be weaker unless you get a crit or kill somebody. Then you can use the normal attack as a bonus action because of the Great Weapon Master. So this is where that great synergy with Great Weapon Master or Great Weapon Master and the Polearm Master comes in, because either way you will have a 4th attack, just one will be weaker. And that is it for the build. I hope you enjoyed. I would appreciate it if you leave the like and subscribe for more Baldur's Gate 3 content, and I'll see you in the next one.